My magic powder recipe could not be simpler. It's just coconut shreds, hemp hearts, flax meal, and cocoa powder. It's 2 parts coconut shreds to 1 part each of the rest. My baseline is 1/3 cup, so that's 2/3 cups of coconut, 1/3 cup each of hemp hearts, flax meal, and cocoa powder. All right, so starting with the coconut. So just for reference, 1/3 cup of coconut is 27 grams. Of course, we'll double that when we do our math later. There's 1, 2, and I'm usually not very exact. I'm just being exact this time because I'm weighing everything. Next, I'll do the flax meal. Next, we'll do the hemp seed hearts. And I always do the cocoa powder last because it just kind of leaves a residue on the measuring cup. Yeah, I'm just going to give that a good shake. And there it is, magic powder. I usually make a double batch, and I use it for anything I want to turn into an instant health food. I think plain yogurt is a really, really good application. But my very favorite thing to do with magic powder is to put it in my morning smoothie, which also could not be easier to make. I start out with a handful of kale. It turns out to be 13 grams, but I never weigh it. It's, it's a handful. I then add a banana, which generally weighs the same as a banana. And then I add a good spoonful of peanut butter, which turns out to be 34 grams, but again, I don't weigh it. And a similarly sized spoonful of almond butter. Little tip, if you do the almond butter second, it kind of scrapes the peanut butter off of your spoon. About 34 grams. I really like these house brand nut butters. My peanut butter's getting a little low, but what I love about these is that they are single ingredient. There's just roasted peanuts and roasted almonds, and you'll notice that's what I have on my nutrition facts. I know what's in them, and they're less expensive than the name brands. So yeah, I strongly endorse these. And then a handful of frozen mixed berries. It turns out to be about 65 grams, but again, not really weighing this stuff. And then, of course, I finish it off with 4 good-sized tablespoons of magic powder, which turns out to be about 44 grams. And then I add the water up to the fill line, and I put on the blender end. And 30 seconds later, I have a really amazing shake that gets me through the first half of the day with no problem at all. I'm not going to do that part right now because here's the other cool thing. This is tomorrow's smoothie. I'm just going to put a lid on this and put it in the fridge, and it'll still be great tomorrow morning. So I can make this the day before, and it works wonderfully. Since this is such an incredibly short video, it looks like I have time to give you a look at the nutrition information, which I'm really pleased with. As you can see, I've got a nutrition label for the whole smoothie on the right, while the label for just the magic powder is on the left. The first thing that caught my eye was the iron content. 33% of your daily intake in the full smoothie, and the magic powder, for only making up like 44 grams of the whole recipe, gives you an outsized 18%. I looked into it, and the big contributors in the powder were the coconut, hemp, and the cocoa powder. The other thing that stood out for me is the protein content. 26 grams, not too shabby. And as you'll see in a moment, it's a pretty broad spectrum of aminos, so I was really happy with that. In case you're interested in a more detailed look at the nutrition, I posted links to the online recipes that I put up on nutritionvalue.org website. This was my first time using that site, and I am so impressed with the incredible detail they provide, so you might want to check that out just for the geeky fun of it. Here are a few screenshots from it, and these are just the beginning. They list the most comprehensive detail I've ever seen. One thing I learned about the shake is that it's also really high in manganese and magnesium and copper, which are minerals a lot of us are apparently deficient in, so this is really great. The vitamin content was also super impressive. Now, as we move over to the amino profile, you can see that this provides a really broad spectrum, so I'm more convinced than ever about the healthiness of the smoothie.
I know some people might be a little concerned about the fat content, but let's face it, fat has become rather controversial. And I'll post a link to my video on the subject. For now, I'll just say that I'm of the opinion that the fats in here are primarily from the coconut, cocoa, nut butters, and seeds, which I consider to be pretty healthy. Of course, you're entitled to your own perspective, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But for now, it's time to wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Ciao.